Everyone. Thought I'd put together, as there's a bit of confusion surrounding it, a quick tutorial on how you would use the Google Search Console for your preferred version of your site to check for render blocking issues that are basically stopping Googlebot from crawling your site. At this particular moment, 24th of July, in the past week or so, I've experienced quite a few sites that have ultimately got big crawl problems due to JavaScript, CSS files, and Google is literally, punishing sites. This is a recent update in Google. If you want to avoid any trouble with your rankings and visibility in Google, you want to ultimately make sure that your site is crawlable and visible. Now, firstly, what we're going to do, if you're an agency, you can just literally go to the Page Speed Insights tool. Just go to Google, type in Google Page Speed Insights tool, and then we can analyze domain in here. That'll quickly allow you to assess the situation of a client site if you're doing a proposal or whatever. But for this process anyway, I'm going to go to our Google Search Console. I've got it saved, obviously. You can see there's a fair amount of stuff available in these bookmark folders. Right, so here we go now. This is my main dashboard, and what you'll see is there's various versions of my UK site here. You used to have all versions, dub, non-dub, HTTP, HTTPS, all permutations of them. Before, now you only need a single version. Now, before, and that's your preferred version. The way you check your preferred version normally is just to go to Google, type in your brand name or website address, and see if Google is indexing the dub, non-dub, or what have you version of your site. And in our case, as you can see here, it's the HTTPS dub version. I'm going to copy that, and now I know which version of Google Search Console to go into, which property, and this automatically chucks you into the older version, the way I've just gone in. You've still got things like, the URL removal tool, which is a very useful tool if you're trying to get deep content out of the index quickly. Robots text tester. The vast majority of everything else is now in the new version of Google Search Console, which is this version here. Now, anywhere that you go, by the way, within Google Search Console, you still have available to you the inspect any URL in domain name. Now, for this particular case, I'm literally going to do a URL inspection on our homepage. And for the record, as this loads initially, you may think that now, because you've actually got this page up and it looks like everything's green and hunky-dory and okay, that's the process done and you can go on with your happy day. Wrong. You actually, once this page loads with your URL, you need to test live URL, which you do by clicking there. I'm just going to charge my battery. And once this loads, I don't want to actually pause it because it's important you see when the page loads as well. There's a lot of takeaways from this, which will allow you to basically have a developer run through the items that are required to make sure your site is fully crawlable. Now, here's a view tested page link, and this opens up to a basically crawl data section where you can see the HTML version. You can actually copy the whole HTML, a screenshot. Now, if you've got major, and I'll show you one in a moment, major problems with crawlability, you'll find that none of your assets such as logo, etc., will actually be loaded here. You may even have broken entirely JavaScript, CSS loading. So that would mean that the design is actually unavailable. But here we go. Going from screenshot to more info. This is the critical area for a developer, yeah? And mainly looking at initially JavaScript console, because it's usually render blocking JavaScript that causes issues with crawlability. And there we go. So now with that, I'm going to put together a second video that looks at a website with issues. This one isn't too bad. It still could do with some optimization, but luckily it's not too bad. We did some work on this recently. Here's the page speed insights. You can see, in terms of render blocking JavaScript, there isn't necessarily anything there. We've got to do a little bit of work on some items, but all good. For an agency though, this is certainly the best place to start if you're doing a proposal. I would have a quick look at PSI score. If there is, for example, render blocking JavaScript issues, you probably want to, in fact, you definitely want to be looking at that within the first month of a project. Anyway, hope that was useful. Thanks.